This is the Gemini Exotica podcast, Episode 1, Toad Ambiance. It was a rich, warm, hearty evening. The bayou was buzzing with creaking creatures and echoing insects and an amazing amphitheater of amphibians. There were also swans and elves and owls. The owls hooted, the swans mooted, and the elves just sat silently with fractal painted faces, whispering amongst themselves, explaining their mischievous intentions. It just turned dusk and a jagged musk gripped the swamp. Like a stew, the air held still and thick without any sign of budging, while bubbling pockets of heat made sweat steam from pores. Nightfall began, and a sign of relief rang as a breeze brought spirit to the swamp and tumbled the leaves into a new mosaic of earthly foliage. As if the sky itself had plugged in an instrument to an amplifier, a new energy could be felt. Then, in the distance, a deep bellowing of a giant prehistoric tonsil erupted out of the ominous clouds. For the following instant, the bayou fell silent, but the ambiance soon restarted. The woods evolved nocturnal, yet the path least traveled had some life left in it. One could barely make out the trail of tan dirt and gray rocks. The trail was a mystical entity, a beacon of hope in an otherwise endless maze of twists, turns, turnarounds, arounds, and twists. A streak of silver and gold in an otherwise devoid, senseless cryptic. The breeze picked up, and a simple stroll home became a hurried walk. One considered possibly cutting through the woods to make it home sooner, but one remembers. You do not dare venture into the trees at this time of evening, for you risk running into Mio, the woodland ghoul. Mio was simply not nice. He would trick you into seeing something deadly like a mouse bear or a chickadee hawk. The only way to rid Mio would be to throw a dandelion in his general direction, for he was scared of lions. But lions were hard to come by, let alone throw. So it was a good thing Mio was not known for his wits. One stopped and stared into the dark wood. One had previously made note that at the Red Oak, a straight shot through the wood would get one home in 5 minutes or less, depending on the amount of the mushroom growth. One took the first step and started sprinting. Over moss-layered branches and tightly wound thicker bushes, one darted and dodged, maintaining his straight shot. He ran fast and hard, not looking back or left or right, simply forward. One ran, not even giving himself time to second-guess his decision. Finally, a sense of invisible protection. He smelt Ma's sauce. He knew he was close. One ran faster than ever before, and in the background of camouflage, a small keyhole of light could be seen, the cottage side yard. One burst through the opening with the might of a locomotive, but upon breaching, bopped his head on a low-hanging branch. One entered the cottage. Ma asked why he has a bruise on his forehead. One tried to mutter an explanation, but Ma said, "Rolling around with that Matilda girl again?" And one said, "No, Ma, this is from a low-hanging branch." And Ma said, "A low-hanging branch? Or some low-hanging fruit with that bog woman Matilda?" And she laughed as she ladled the over-garlicked tomato sauce with her old, withered hand. The end. Hello, I am Gemini Exotica, aka Giuseppe Wap. Not W-A-P, no, W-O-P. But let's not get confused. Wops get wops. It's an interchangeable phrase. This is a podcast I decided to create because I am both extremely bored and having my entire being and soul and life force sucked from my body from corporate America, or just simply America, I feel America has really lost both joy and soul and character. Happiness is simply lost, as if it was ever found. But enough of that load of baloney. This podcast is going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining, thoughtful, sporadic, a nexus of creativity and potentially mental illness. I don't know. Um, but before we get into the rest of the content, due to it being the first episode, yeah, I'd like to let you know who I am so you could get to know me a little bit. I'm a man. I'm from a major city on the East Coast. I work at Fugazi Incorporated. I enjoy creative ventures, my favorite of which is stand-up comedy, creating action-packed stories, and jazz. My favorite things to do, I like staring at flowers, especially when there's bees pollinating them. Um, I like looking at leaves. Any color would do. But green is good because green is symbolic for livelihood and full of life. And I also like looking at clouds. Um, I don't know. They just make nice shapes. How could you not like looking at clouds? But, all that and probably, fishing is really fun, or engaging in the most passionate action with another human being, and that is a nice conversation. But anyways, my favorite color is periwinkle, but on Mondays, my favorite color is tangerine, because I realized on Mondays you have to have a little bit warmer colors to bring you into that good mood, because nobody likes Mondays. Mondays suck. Mondays are for squares, but you got to trick your brain into liking Mondays, and you do that by wearing a warm color. That's not scientifically proven. That's just something I thought of right now. I like making homemade stuff, mainly ricotta cheese. Where I'm from, people call it ragut. I like ricotta. Not that I'm trying to be, cultural, but it's just the way it's spelled. That's how they say it in Italy. That's where it's made. That's just how you say it. But anyways, I like making homemade ricotta. I like making homemade salami. I always have one ready for company. You know what I mean? I attempt to do astral projection, but it never seems to work out. I try to do this meditate. It's just, I get to this point of buzzing, like a quick buzzing feeling. I feel like something's happening. I get a little bit scared. I knock out. I end up on the floor. I wake up the next morning covered in urine. It's just a disaster. And when your parents are like, what is this? You can't be like, I was attempting to astral project. Anyways, I enjoy the idea of meditation, but I usually just end up taking medication, prescribed from my local neighborhood doctor. He told me one time to take this pill and count down from 10, and all my mantras would be aligned. Well, I counted down from 10, and I woke up the next morning and my sneakers were stolen. So, on the bright side, basically, the same thing as Buddha says, which is like destroy your materialistic belongings. Well, to be quite honest, I don't know if he said that. I know he said Om or something along those lines. Let's see, what else? Oh, yes. I enjoy eating chicken parmesan and canned sardines. Canned sardines are good for you. Actually, I was a big tuna guy, and then someone sent me like this chart or something, and like the tuna was in the red, and it was like Mercury, and I'm like, what? Isn't that a planet? And they're like, no, this is like an acid in the ocean. And you'd be like, oh great, what else did humans do? We polluted the water with mercury now? Well, I regret to inform you, mercury is actually natural, right? And fish get higher mercury levels from eating other fish. So, it's like mercury is like the obesity of the ocean in a lot of ways. Like, you eat more, you get higher mercury, you know, and so we didn't actually pollute the ocean with mercury, but we did pollute the ocean with water and oil. I mean, we didn't produce. We pollute the ocean with oil and like microplastics, and indirectly with heat through global warming. And due to our wonderful actions, the Great Barrier Reef is now just known as the Great Barrier. It's so sad seeing the photos of the Great Barrier Reef. It's like super colorful and now just black and white. It's like as if the Great Barrier Reef is like anti-LGBTQ. Man, why did we have to destroy the oceans? It was such a great place. And now you go in the ocean, there's like plastic floating by and all the fish are gone. Ugh. Humans are so wonderful. Okay, so what is going to be the layout of this podcast, and what is this podcast? I guess this podcast is going to be a creative venture in many aspects. As you may have noticed, I opened up with a story that made no sense, and that'll be like a running theme that is no sense. This podcast is going to make no sense because life makes no sense. And if you really think about it, life is so complex, but it is the only problem that really doesn't have an answer. But the true answer is there is no answer, so stop trying to figure out a problem. The problem only exists in your head. Go make a pizza and live in the woods, or go make a woods and live in the pizza. It's really up to you. So, in the fear of all that, this podcast will make no sense, because no sense is good, because I believe too many things try to make sense, and, there needs to be a little bit of balance. Does that make sense? Okay, so what is this podcast? I guess it's really a comedy podcast. I do my best to make it funny. I always make this one lady laugh with dementia at the park. What the fuck? I always make this lady with dementia at the park laugh. I don't know if she's laughing at me, or if she's laughing at the pigeons, or if she's laughing at the pigeons on me, but I have I feel like if I can make her laugh, she's got literally no brain. I feel like if I can make her laugh, then I have a pretty good shot at making you laugh, because you are fully aware and cognizant and not have dementia. All right. So we're about here now. So I guess what I wanted to do, is I wanted to talk through some material that I write down. I guess I will write down material for the week, saving some of it for the stage, saving some of it for the podcast. I don't really know exactly what's going on. What I wrote down is I'm trying to go for like I guess like a maybe like a curb your enthusiasm, I guess, idea. I took a page from their book, which is, I kind of have like a beginning and an end and like a general topic. And I want to improv, not so speak that I'm just hilarious or I'm good at improvisation, but I feel like that's a skill I could work on. And this is a pretty good safe space to work on that kind of content. And also, I want to treat this podcast as idea generation. Who knows what my brain will create in this dark room while everybody is asleep. Who knows what I will come up with in these early hours, because I'm too embarrassed to record this when everybody's awake. So, these are just some basic ideas that I might ramble on about. So warning, this content is rated M for marsupial. This is jokes. Okay. So, I don't know if I should go into the jokes or just talk about the idea first. Maybe I'll talk about the idea first because that's a bit interesting. And then maybe I could just do it as I'm talking about the idea. So, I guess I heard some interesting news about the dot com bubble. And, it was just like cryptocurrency. People are talking about inflation and, the market's in a bubble and all that absolute nonsense. When the reality is nobody knows what's going on. Even the people in charge don't know what's going on. Everyone's has a big guess. So I feel like if you have knowledge or don't have knowledge, your guess is just as good as the person who's saying all this, whether it's going to go up or down. I feel like people want to act smart, and they simply get paid to act smart. And the people that could act the smartest get paid the most. But anyways, so that's why I earn basically $0, is because I'm really not smart and I don't know how to act smart. But anyways, so I heard this news about this .com bubble, right? And I'm thinking .com bubble. That's kind of funny. Like if I wanted to start an internet company that sells soap, and I was like, well, selling soap online is hard as people like to smell their soap before buying it. And I was thinking like people sniffing the soap in stores, that's a common thing. I mean, I don't know if that's common actually, because I'm just using my life. Because when I went to the store with my mom would take me to the men's soap and she would stand me there and she'd be like, which one do you want? And I would say that one looks cool. It was typically like a blue Axe, as at the time blue was my favorite color before I became a more cultured man and now enjoy things like periwinkle and tangerine and depression purple. But anyways, so she would take me to the store and I would look at the Axe and I would say, I want the blue one. And she would pop it open and she would have me smell the soap. And that seems really weird now that I think back to it. And it's just like some human behavior. But how would you know? How would you properly be able to buy which soap you want without smelling the soap? But it seems weird. So, it's like, how can you start an internet soap company during the .com bubble when people want to sell soap? I'm sorry, how can you start an internet company that sells soap during the .com bubble when people want to go in store and smell their soap? How, like, you can't smell soap over the internet. So I was saying, like, how the last frontier of the internet is smells. We have sight, we have like VR, and we have obviously voice and hearing. And, now they're making suits or whatever that will tug on your crotch. They definitely have those. I've seen them. Don't worry about it. But, so it seems like the smells are the last frontier. And I was saying how during the .com bubble, my soap internet company will be not only amazing for selling soap, but we allow people to smell the soap before they buy it. And I was thinking like, instead of earphones for your ears, it would be like earphones for your nostrils. And it would be cool, like nostril pods. And you'd be like, hey guys, look at my nostrils. My nostril pods. Wait, your nostril pods. And, instead of getting earwax in your ears, you'd have like sinus juice in your nostril pods. But this would allow you to smell the soap. And looking back at it, I mean, I don't even know why I would be even so invested in this soap company after making a product that allows you to smell what's occurring in the video or in the picture or whatever. I feel like that's an amazing idea in itself. So why would I even be still concerned with the soap, Maybe I just have a thing for soap. I'm not very clean, so I don't know why when I wrote this idea down I was so invested in the soap. That just goes to show I'm not a great investor. So, you know, for if any internet companies or anything I say on here pertaining to finance or economics, you really just yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, back to the joke. So, it was like smells from the internet, right? So, what are the two biggest businesses the internet has uh, in America, definitely, probably in the world? Well, business one, uh, um, adult movies, right? And business two, online gambling. So I was like, listen, you want to go play some blackjack? You stick your handy nostril pods up your nose. You put your ear pods in your ears. You put your sunglasses on, and you put your hood up, and you could sit in your house, and you would feel like you're in a casino because you'd be able to smell like the cigarette smoke and the old carpets and just the sadness. I don't know how he would construct the sadness smell. I'm thinking something like old people, puppy tears, and maybe like if we can somehow extract the scent of grandmas not getting a phone call from their grandson. That would be beautiful sadness scent. I don't know how exactly we would capture it. We would need some kind of jar and yarn. No, that wouldn't work. Um, Matter of fact, I don't know how this company would ever work in its entirety because you have electrics, right? You have wires, not electrics, wires. You have wires. I don't know how scent travels through wires unless it's an electric fire, and that'd be a pretty bad internet company. It's like, listen, we have this ability. It plugs into your computer via dongle, via sub dongle, and you could plug it in and you could smell things. And the investors would be like, oh my God, are you serious? That's amazing. Do you know how many applications this? Yes, one little thing. It only has an electrical fire smell. So we were thinking like this could be like a Call of Duty type thing only for like gun smoke and gunfire and explosions and dynamite and things like that. And you would just be able to see the dollar signs slide off of their faces. Okay, so, as I was talking about this in my mind, I was like, hey, internet companies, email, and then I thought of like what would be funny, and this is like maybe like I don't know, maybe like when I wrote this down, I envisioned it to be like a South Park or like an SNL type deal where it's like, the company is called eGlow, the Internet Growth Company, right? And this company markets itself as if you have a fractured eGlow, and an e-glow is like some kind of ratio or metric that this company has, and they go, if you have a fractured e-glow, that means you have low internet numbers, no followers, no likes, nobody's looking at your channel, you're basically a loser with no friends, right? But if you have an inflated e-glow, that's EGLOW, you have high interest, lots of numbers, probably a big ass, and Uh, you know, just tremendous looking. You probably do a lot of cute poses, and you post the best version of yourself. So, if you have an inflated ego, that's great. That's amazing. That's exactly what you want. Your ego, and this is like on a metric between, I don't know, something goofy like 0 and 10. And it's like 0 is you're fractured, you're a 0, you're nothing. But an inflated, oh my God, you're 10, you're 10 golden stars, you got 10,000 followers. The magic number is 10. You're 10 in looks, you're 10 everything. You got 10-inch, you know. And so inflated ego, high internet numbers. And, um, I was just like, I thought that was funny because I really feel like the internet presence is a big play on ego, that thing that makes you want to do. Let me look up what ego means because I feel like this is the thing that I do a lot is that I know what a word means in my mind and I have a general feeling of the word, but I actually don't know the definition of it. Okay, so on Google, it says a person's sense of self-importance. It's a three-letter word. I should totally know the definition. A person's sense of self-importance, which is, yeah. So this joke isn't destroyed. Okay. Yeah, so it's like the internet presence is a play on the ego because, I feel like to just post yourself on the internet, you need to have a bit of an inflated ego. Something I'm doing right now with creating a podcast. I think I'm funny. I think I'm kind of funny. I think I have some creative ideas. I guess I have an inflated ego in that sense, and I post it. But I would never post a picture of myself on the internet. I mean, that's like beyond, I think. But then again, it's like weird for me to judge certain aspects of character. What is the difference between them posting a picture of them and me posting my thoughts? Is their physical body different from my brain? Maybe, but it's like they have their own egotistical idea and I have my own egotistical idea. So maybe I have the inflated ego. Well, that's good. I have an inflated ego. I'm doing well in terms of this company. But anyways, so let me just go with my original thought, which is, for whatever reason, I feel like the internet presence is a play on the ego, which, may not be a bad thing. Because it's like, why is it bad to have an inflated ego? Is it, you act a bit douchey? I guess as long as you treat other people okay, and it's very easy to judge others based on what you see them online. It's like I might be giving these guys the benefit of the doubt in this moment, but now I might be seeing the wrongs in my visions before. It's like just because they're good looking and they have a lot of followers doesn't mean you gotta hate them. But if they do kind of act a bit douchey, then I guess yes. But anyways, back to my original thought. Internet presence is a play on the ego because like a desire for followers and likes is a little bit egotistical in a lot of way. And I guess the difference, maybe between the podcast and an Instagram is that a podcast is kind of like a service. It's like I'm providing you with entertainment. Is a body a service? Modeling? Stripping? Adult entertainment? I probably didn't think this through hard enough. But that's why this is like a open-ended rant. I don't know what the hell, well, I don't know what's going to come out. But anyways, so it's like a like is a like to me because everyone knows likes. You get thumbs up, you get a heart or whatever, a swipe right. It's a want. It's I want that. You know what I mean? I want that girl. I want that sandwich. I want that vacation destination. And, even though you're liking it, you're actually displaying a desire for it subconsciously, I feel. So it's like for the people posting it, they understand that that is desire, and they want to be desired. And the more people that desire them, the better they feel, and therefore, they have an inflated ego. I don't know. This joke is pretty stupid now that I'm thinking about it. It just doesn't make much sense. What do I see here? Oh, yeah. And it's like one thing I was thinking about is like when you like something, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever, makes a little check in the algorithm there. And that's why you get those advertisements, right? And that kind of made me realize like that like is a desire. And, those desires might be an egotistical thing. I mean, I totally want to be desired. If this podcast gets a lot of likes, I'll feel very good about myself. Maybe my ego will be inflated, and therefore I won't be embarrassed to talk to people. But I don't know. I was just thinking, like, social media is a lot like a mainstream porn because, the main reason why it's mainstream is because it doesn't have sex. If social media had sex, it would be porn, and that would be Pornhub, which isn't mainstream. But it's mainstream, like sex is mainstream, but it's like a hidden mainstream. It's like a side stream, a little eddy, where people go skinny dipping. Everybody likes it, everybody watches it, everybody indulges in it, but then you never want to admit it. And the reason why I guess I wanted to make this connection was that it's like pornography. The reason why you watch it is because you're probably lonely or depressed or a 13-year-old boy looking to release this pressure that you have building up. But what you come to realize is that you desire, in my case, the woman in the video, you desire it significantly. And I was just thinking like how social media is like a porn in the sense that when you see these things on social media, you desire it. You desire it. And, then we could get into like jealousy and, hatred. And then that also just makes you feel like a loser. So, there's a lot of like negativity here, I guess. And I thought, having a big ego is usually a negative thing. So I was like, ego, fractured ego, inflated ego. That kind of makes sense. And it kind of goes along with like this negativity of having an inflated ego. But now thinking back about it, I think, could you have an inflated ego? Is that a bad thing? What if you're not hurting anybody? Why does people allow a person with an inflated ego to hurt them? Do those people have some kind of troubles that they need to get by? Maybe they have a fractured ego. Maybe they need to get an inflated ego. How do they get an inflated ego? That's why you should use my company, eGlow. We'll show you how to get an inflated eGlow. But anyways, it's not a real company. I was just doing it for the bit. I think there's a frog in my head. I got a frog in my head and the tadpole is in my ear. I'm leaking tadpoles because I had a tadpole dream. Yes. Okay, so next topic. 33 minutes. That's my lucky number. Okay, so I kind of have like a little story. It's not very long, and it's just about me doing something goofy from a girl's advice. But anyways, so I don't know. Every experience is something to learn. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned. Even if, you may think it's like stupid or, you're like, why am I even... You just learn. You just observe what's going on. And you pick up little things. Oh, look at that. Don't go stand next to that guy. He'll try to rob you. everything. There's always a learning opportunity, even if there isn't one. But anyways, so I took some advice from a girl. She said I needed to go and buy this certain mineral called moldavite. Now, if you don't know what moldavite is, it's like this green, glassy type rock that is from the Czech Republic. And if it's from the Czech Republic, you know it's going to be quality stuff. I mean, they got great beer, they got great people, they got a cool flag. What else? That's about it. But anyways, so, you know, it comes from the Czech Republic. It only comes from there. It developed when an asteroid hit the Earth, and I guess from the impact, it shot these little shards of moldavite everywhere. So it only comes from this one area, and supposedly, like, it's a very powerful little stone, you know. And I'm a spiritual guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm religious. I have idea, like when I see a black cat, I think that's a sign. I know that sounds crazy to many people, but that's just what I believe. I see my lucky number, that's a sign. I see a cloud in the sky, that's a sign. I see a sign, that's not a sign. That's just a sign telling you to stop. But anyways, so she's like, you gotta go to the crystal shop and you gotta buy some moldavite. And I'm like, all right, I'll go check out the moldavite at the crystal shop. Now, I've never been to a crystal shop in my entire life. That being said, I'm an avid rock collector. I have bags upon bags of just rocks. I don't understand why. And that's like some kind of human condition, is when you see something, you just need it, right? Like you want to collect it, you want to hoard it, and you don't want anybody to touch it. And you go insane. Like, I thought one time, like, this person stole my rock. I was ready to grab a rock shard and slit his throat and demand where my rock is. You know, crazy things. Humans are crazy. But anyways, so this crazy lady told me to go get a rock, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go get a rock. Because I was kind of getting into a spiritual period. Well, I am in a spiritual period. You know, I sleep with the cross next to the bed. I pray. I meditate. I do all my stuff. I try to have ethics. But, you know, so I go to the crystal shop. That being said, never been to a crystal shop in my life. Avid rock collector. I have probably moldavite in my collection somewhere, but whatever. I get to the shop. Upon arriving, I notice how many women are there. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, typically it's like go to the library or, you know, go I don't even know, ballet, gymnastics, whatever. It's like, nobody ever talks about, if you want to meet a girl, you go to the crystal shop because, okay, I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, they're all there, okay? You gotta fish where there's fish. That's just common sense. They're all there. You have a wide variety. They're rock girls, so you know, they're a little kooky, which is good in my opinion. You want a girl that's a little bit off the wall. If she's too normal, in my opinion, if she's too normal, there's nothing fun about that. You want a girl that'll go a little crazy. You know, not stab you crazy, but, you know, she talks to plants. She does pottery in her basement. You know, stuff like this. She collects grass and throws it in her salad. You know, just, you want a little crazy. Not crazy, but not even crazy. Just a little kooky, a little nut, you know, a little, like she kind of's got a little twitch, and you're like, is everything all right? Do you need your medication? She's like, I'm fine, and you're like, okay, and but so those are the type of girls that I feel like are hanging at our crystal places. I could be very wrong, granted, but for the sake of the joke, let's just call the girls there crazy crystal girls, crazy crystal chicks, CCC. But anyways, so not only are the place full of girls, but they're kind of crazy, and they're also sentimental. What does that mean for you? You walk in, and the stars aligned for her. You are the one for her. She met you in the crystal shop. You're both looking for the same gem. You both like the color purple. You're both at a crossroads in your life, and you're trying. See, do you see what I'm saying here? No, and it's like, and this isn't like to take advantage. You shouldn't try to take advantage of it. But I'm saying, like, in order to get a date, right? In order to score, because you're just trying to get the girl to know you. It's very hard for a guy to approach a woman at a bar. It's just nearly impossible. It's like trying to predict the stock market. It's like you're just gonna lose a lot of money. You want to buy a drink? Okay. So what's your name? Where are you going? Money out the money. Hey, we're gonna long this S&P 500 today. Crash. Money out the pocket. Money out the pocket. It's like I'm giving charity that I can't write off over here. But anyways, so because you're just trying to score that date. You're just trying to score that number, and you just want to you got to use everything to your advantage here, right? You got to the crystal shop, they're all there. You got to look good when you walk into the crystal shop. Maybe you have your little crystal necklace on from your sister's room. It's got a little emerald, little bit of backstory, not a whole lot. This is a stone that my grandma gave me, blah blah. You walk up to them. You're looking at purple amethyst? I'm a purple amethyst guy myself. What are you looking at it for? Oh, I saw a crow yesterday. I saw a crow this morning. Oh my God! What? You want to go get some spaghetti sometime? And that's how it's done. But so yeah, so I think this place, the crystal shop, is a place to go. I feel like if you want to pick up some girls, you know what I mean? It's a little weird. The crystal shop's a little weird. The guy's got to have a ponytail. Stuff is going to be overpriced, overpriced. They're gonna have like dragons, and it's just gonna be awkward. It's gonna feel a little awkward walking in there at first because as a guy especially, and goes in two ways. As a guy, I feel like I'm naturally skeptical. I'm walking in the crystal shop and it's crystals, and then also when I see it, but all the girls in there, I'm like, I can't be here. This is place as a girl store. I can't be here. I got over myself. I reached it. I said, listen, I'm going to be a little bit feminine today because you can do that. You can go masculine some days, feminine some days. Some days you want to chop down a tree. Some days you want to, rub crystals on you. I don't know. But what I'm saying here is you're going to go into the crystal store. There's going to be some bells, and you're going to feel immediately awkward. Okay? Those are the crystals testing you. That's not true. There's no test. Yeah, so I'm like, walking around, and they got crystals, and they got rocks, and they got incense. And I think it was funny, it's like you go up to the girl and you're like, what kind of incense you like? She's like, what? And you're like, incense, insects, incest, incense. Do you like cousin incense? And she'd be like, screaming. And then the other girls would start throwing crystals at you, and you get kicked out of the store. But anyways, The girl told me that this is a very powerful crystal, Moldavite, and I have to go get it. So I go to the store. I'm there. I go to the counter, and I'm like, I need this Moldavite. And, unfortunately, they're out, which is a shame because apparently it's a very rare rock. So, it's either rare or just, they didn't buy the Kool-Aid and didn't buy it. But anyways, so I ordered a little pendant online, and I'm going to see what it's about. Because, I go on Reddit, I type in Moldavite, and it's like, yada, yada, yada. It's super powerful, makes you vibrate. Vibrations are good, I think. Seems like a good idea. But, I guess that's all I really got with the crystal shop. I think the best piece of it there is the getting the girls part. But I feel like the whole, crystal girl, that could be funny, because I guess stereotypically crystal girls are a little bit goofy. But like I said, goofy's good. You want a little goofiness. You don't want a girl that's all together, because it's just not fun. You want her to scream in her sleep or something. No, you don't want that. You just want a little crazy, little bit. Anyways, okay, 2 more jokes. So, I was thinking how the Earth is water, right? The Earth is made up of mainly 2 things, which is water, mainly water, and land, right? And there's a bunch of other stuff like sand and mud. But at a distance, Earth is water and land, and mainly water. And what else is mainly water and land? That's a swamp. So Earth is kind of like a swamp. And what inhabits the swamp? Us. We're people. We're swamp people. So from a distance, the Earth is a swamp. And from a distance, we are swamp people. And stereotypically speaking, swamp people are kind of gross. And I think, from a distance, that's why most humans are really gross, including myself. I mean, I'm disgusting. I sweat, I smell, I leave the kitchen a mess, I get tomato sauce on my new shirt. It's just a disaster. I'm lazy, I'm dumb, I create problems for other people. I, I, I don't know. I feel like at a distance, the Earth is a swamp, and we're just all a bunch of swamp people, and, we got our little boats, and we're driving around the swamp, and just throwing garbage in the water, catching alligators. Trying to think of more material. Why are swamp people seen as bad? Well, maybe because they live in a swamp. You're right, me. There's so many wonderful places to live. Forests, fields, beaches, mountains, and yet you live in a swamp. I mean, it smells, the water is toxic, mosquitoes, snakes, spiders, bog woman. I mean, there's like an endless list of why not to live in the swamp. Maybe they just really like boats. They're like, I don't want cars, I want to drive a boat. Okay. Just like during the summertime? No, I want to drive a boat year round. I want to drive the boat to the liquor store. I want to drive the boat to the food store. I want to drive the boat to the strip club. All right, we know the place for you. It's called the Everglades, and it's like just swamp. There's no roads. There's nothing. You just live in the swamp. You live on a shack elevated over water. So yeah, so it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, sometimes people are a little swampy, right? They're a little swamp person. They're a little goofy, which isn't a bad thing. Getting back to the crystals girl, it's okay to be a little bit goofy. Maybe swamp people have something right. They lean into their weirdness. They lean into their craziness. They go, I'm a swamp guy. I live in the swamp. So what? That's where I like to live. And everybody else is like, well, I live by the beach, and I live by the mountains, and I live on the Great Plains, and I live here. I'm not going in the swamp. But from a distance, you're a swamp person, just like them. What's the difference? You didn't get your foot bit off by an alligator, but you drive a car, and you have an umbrella, and you have running water. So what? You're still a swamp person. You still, at a distance, live on this planet that's basically a swamp. All right. So, my last little bit that I have is I kind of a weird thought I had today, which is what I would relate is life and living is kind of like a rocket ship to Mars. And let me explain. Because, in my job and in my day-to-day, I feel like there was a series of steps I had to take, right? And I'm not saying like steps I had to take to better my life. No, like pre-registered steps. It's like you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. There's only one lane. There's no other lane to go to. This is what you're doing. Nobody cares what else you want to do. This is what you're doing. And this is what you're going to do when you're done doing this. So I related that life and that idea to a rocket ship to Mars, in the sense that you're an astronaut on the rocket ship, and you get in the rocket ship and you're flying, right? You're on the rocket ship. You're not going anywhere else. You can't step outside. Just the vacuum of space and be there? That's not great. You're just stuck. You're just floating aimlessly. Unless maybe a UFO comes and picks you up. That won't be a bad deal. Maybe it's a alien race of exotic 8-foot tall women. We know this. This is from a popular TV show. You get picked up. You stepped out. You really screwed up. You pressed the wrong button and you got shot out into space. Guess what? It's your lucky day. You're the prime breeder for an alien race of women. Okay. I'll have to keep that thought in the back of my head for later. But what is my point? You're on the rocket in space. You are seated in the rocket. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to steer the rocket. Elon Musk pre-programmed. You don't got to touch anything. You just got to sit there and you got to wait. And the rocket is moving and you're just waiting. And the rocket is moving and you're just waiting. And you're waiting to get to Mars. And I realized that this is like the steps of my life. It's like high school, college, job, right? Where it's just, these are the steps you take. Don't question it. You're on the rocket ship. And it's just going to go. You just do well in college. You do well in high school. You just do good. And you get a job. And you're just on the rocket, right? And people think the rocket is going up. That's great. But it's just, you're just not really doing anything. You're just feeling like something else is propelling you forward. You're not actually doing it. And you just feel, I don't know, I just felt very stuck. And the idea was that you're just on this rocket, and yeah, you're going, but you don't feel like you're going. And when you're on the rocket, you don't have any other options because you're on a rocket ship in space. you're screwed. You left the Earth. There's no parachute. You're not going back. So, so then you finally get to your goal of Mars. And you're like, okay, we have purpose now. We've reached our goal. We're at Mars. What happens? You're on Mars. There's nothing to do. You're in a desert. You're in a desert. There's no water. There's no trees. There's a couple of robots drifting around somewhere. There's no people. You're with like 4 other people. Now you got to spend the rest of your life with one person that you just kind of met like a rocket ship ride ago. Ugh. Horrible. No puppies, no kittens, no leaves, no clouds. Well, maybe clouds. Dust storms. They call it the big red planet. I guess it's a little bit better than being a swamp, but that's horrible, you know? So you get to Mars finally, after this long ride of not doing anything, and it still sucks. And I was just relating that to life, or at least my life in this sense, because you're just on this rocket ship, and you got nothing, you got the predetermined steps that you got to take, and you get to the goal, and now you're at Mars, and you're just like, I'm at Mars now, I'm here, what the hell just happened to my life? We just shot a rocket ship, no options, Mars. Now, I was thinking a little bit that these astronauts that are going to... By the way, before I go into that next point, that's just how I felt about my situation currently. Maybe you wanted to get to Mars. Maybe you like rocket ships. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut. Fine. I just felt that it was kind of... I just felt that I just followed the steps without thought, and it got me to where the system is designed to get you. But that's not... I feel dumb. I feel like that isn't right. For me. The system did a perfect job, but for me, it just feels not right. There's something a little bit off about it. And that's how I kind of symbolized my thoughts. What is that, a metaphor? I don't know. I didn't pay attention to English. But I've thought about it, and I'm like, how freeing must it be to be a SpaceX astronaut? And everybody's like, you're going to live in a dome on Mars. You're leaving Earth. What does that mean? You're leaving people. You're leaving culture. You're leaving philosophies, ideologies, what you're expected to do on Earth, how you're expected to live, what you're expected to believe in. You're leaving all of that. Nothing is expected of you other than just doing your jobs. You are completely free. You are wiping the slate clean. And honestly, that alone is so enticing. I mean, I don't know physics. I barely know, like, I guess life science. What is that? Like, water? I can never be an astronaut. But the idea that you just leave it, you just, goodbye everybody, when are you coming back? I forgot to tell you. Just leaving it all behind. The expectations, the desires, the needs, what you want, internet connection, Instagram, egos, just all of it. Great Barrier Reefs that no longer exist. You just, goodbye, I'm out, see you later. That is amazing thought to me. That fantasy is on another level of awesome. But I'm stuck on Earth. I'm stuck in this swamp. I'll never be able to see the Great Barrier Reef. But that's not the point of this podcast. All that goddamn baloney. We're here to have a good time. We're here to have fun. I hope this was entertaining. Probably try to do one a week, whether that comes in like 2 30-minute segments or 1 hour-long segment. I'm not sure. Figuring it out as I go. Doesn't matter. I'm Giuseppe Wap. Forgot the podcast name. I am Giuseppe Wap. This is the Gemini Exotica podcast. I'll see you soon.